It all started with one cruel laugh that echoed across a spotless luxury automotive showroom, a laugh that stripped a hard-working father of his dignity in front of dozens of engineers, executives, and investors. Covered in grease from repairing an old pickup on the side of the road before rushing to the meeting, the poor mechanic stood silently while the company's celebrated CEO dismissed him as nothing more than a desperate man chasing a dream far beyond his place. No one in that room imagined that within weeks, the same man they mocked would become the only person capable of saving an $80 million supercar project from complete disaster, and the woman who humiliated him would have to choose between her pride and everything she had built. That if you believe kindness is never weakness, forgiveness is stronger than revenge, and every person deserves a second chance. Please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing community. Gavin Mercer had never expected life to become so heavy so quickly. 3 years earlier, he had lost his wife, leaving him to raise his 8-year-old daughter, Elsie, alone while keeping a struggling neighborhood garage alive. Every sunrise began the same way. He prepared breakfast, braided Elsie's hair after watching dozens of online tutorials because he had promised her mother he would always try his best, dropped her at school, and spent long hours repairing vehicles that wealthier mechanics refused to touch. Gavin possessed an extraordinary gift that very few people recognized. He could hear an engine for only a few seconds and understand exactly what was wrong. Machines made sense to him in ways people often did not. While others replaced expensive components, Gavin repaired them with patience, creativity, and an understanding built through years of experience rather than expensive degrees. Across the city, Celeste Hawthorne had become one of the youngest CEOs in the luxury automotive industry. Brilliant, ambitious, and relentlessly determined, she had transformed her father's aging performance car company into an internationally respected engineering brand. Investors praised her confidence, magazines celebrated her intelligence, and competitors feared her relentless pursuit of perfection. Yet success had quietly built walls around her. She trusted titles more than talent and polished appearances more than humble experience. The company announced an innovation competition, inviting engineers, inventors, and mechanics to submit ideas that could improve cooling efficiency in their revolutionary $80 million electric supercar project. Gavin had spent months sketching a simple mechanical solution while repairing ordinary family cars after hours. His design was inexpensive, elegant, and surprisingly effective. Friends convinced him to present it. When Gavin entered the company's headquarters carrying a worn leather folder, security guards looked at his faded work boots and oil-stained jacket with visible skepticism. He smiled politely anyway. He had not come to impress anyone with his clothes. He believed his work would speak for itself. Unfortunately, it never got the chance. During the presentation review, Celeste barely glanced at the diagrams before noticing Gavin's appearance. Assuming he lacked the education necessary to contribute, she interrupted the meeting and publicly questioned why someone who repaired old sedans believed he understood technology developed by world-class engineers. A few executives laughed. One investor smirked. Someone whispered that perhaps he had mistaken the building for an employment office. Gavin quietly gathered his papers without arguing. He thanked them for their time and walked away with his dignity intact, even though his heart felt shattered. As he stepped outside, he noticed grease on his hands and suddenly understood what they had really seen. They had not seen a father sacrificing everything for his daughter. They had not seen thousands of hours spent solving impossible mechanical problems. They had only seen dirty hands. That afternoon, Gavin picked Elsie up from school with the same gentle smile he always wore. She immediately sensed something was wrong. Children often recognize pain adults try hardest to hide. She hugged him tightly without asking questions, and for a few precious seconds, the disappointment faded. Gavin realized he still had everything that truly mattered. Weeks passed. Meanwhile, disaster struck Hawthorne Automotive. Their flagship supercar repeatedly overheated during daytime endurance testing. Every expensive redesign failed. Engineers replaced cooling systems, modified software, redesigned airflow channels, and even delayed international investors who were expecting demonstrations. Every failure cost millions. News spread through the industry. stock prices began slipping. Investors quietly discussed abandoning the project. Pressure consumed Celeste. Sleep became difficult. Every daytime meeting brought worse reports than the last. The engineers she had trusted completely admitted they could not identify the hidden flaw. One exhausted senior technician remembered the mechanic whose proposal had been dismissed weeks earlier. Curious, he searched the archived submissions and discovered Gavin's rejected design. Hidden inside those ignored pages was a remarkably simple cooling mechanism addressing the exact failure now threatening the project. Embarrassed, the technician brought the documents directly to Celeste. As she studied every page carefully for the first time, silence filled her office. The solution was not only practical, it was brilliant. Her stomach tightened as memories of that humiliating meeting returned. For the first time in years, success could not protect her from shame. Instead of sending lawyers or assistants, Celeste drove herself to Gavin's modest garage. She found him underneath an aging family van, carefully replacing a damaged transmission while humming softly. Nearby, Elsie sat at a small table finishing homework and occasionally handing her father clean tools. Neither of them recognized the luxury sedan pulling into the driveway. When Gavin stood up and saw Celeste, surprise crossed his face, but resentment did not. She struggled to speak. The confident executive who commanded boardrooms suddenly found it difficult to look one mechanic in the eyes. She admitted that she had judged him unfairly, ignored his work because of his appearance, and allowed her own pride to silence genuine talent. She confessed the company desperately needed his help. Gavin listened quietly. He remembered every laugh, every stare, every moment he had questioned his own worth after leaving that building, yet he also remembered something else. His daughter had once asked whether hurting people should always be hurt back. He had answered that someone must choose kindness first, or nothing ever changes. Standing there beside the garage, he realized life was asking him to live by his own words. He accepted, not because the company deserved it, because integrity mattered more than revenge. The following morning, Gavin entered the research facility wearing the same clean work clothes he always wore. This time, nobody laughed. He spent hours walking around the prototype instead of immediately touching it. He listened carefully while engineers explained every failed attempt. Rather than criticize them, he respected the effort behind each unsuccessful solution. Then he requested a simple set of mechanical tools instead of expensive diagnostic equipment. Some engineers exchanged doubtful looks. Within minutes, Gavin identified tiny vibration patterns creating microscopic coolant pressure fluctuations during sustained acceleration. Computer simulations had overlooked them because the defect appeared only after specific heat expansion cycles during prolonged daytime testing. His original design compensated naturally for those fluctuations. Implementation required only minor modifications. Everyone watched silently. The next afternoon, the prototype completed an entire endurance run without overheating, then another, then another. Engineers burst into applause, some actually cried. Months of frustration disappeared in a single day. The $80 million project had been saved. International investors restored their confidence immediately. The company's future was secure once again. Reporters praised the engineering breakthrough, but when journalists asked Gavin how it felt to become the hero behind the world's newest supercar, he surprised everyone. He refused to insult anyone. He insisted the project succeeded because people eventually chose to listen instead of assuming they already knew everything. His humility spread across social media even faster than the technical achievement itself. The interview reached millions. Customers admired not only the remarkable innovation but also the mechanic whose character proved greater than his talent. Inside the company, something deeper changed. Celeste publicly accepted responsibility before employees and investors alike. She admitted that leadership without humility becomes blindness and that intelligence means very little when pride refuses to learn. She offered Gavin a prestigious executive engineering position with a salary beyond anything he had imagined. Everyone expected him to accept immediately. Instead, Gavin requested something entirely different. He asked to remain connected to his garage while helping mentor young mechanics who lacked expensive degrees but possessed extraordinary practical skills. He believed opportunity should depend upon ability rather than appearance. Celeste agreed without hesitation. Together they launched a nationwide apprenticeship program that discovered remarkable talent hidden inside small garages, rural workshops, and overlooked communities. Many participants eventually became respected engineers, designers, and innovators who transformed the company's culture forever. The little neighborhood garage never closed. Instead, it became a symbol. Customers traveled long distances simply because they trusted the man who had remained humble after success. Elsie watched everything unfold with quiet pride. One afternoon, while helping sweep the garage floor after school, she looked at her father and smiled the same smile her mother once had. She told him she finally understood why he never allowed bitterness to live inside his heart. If he had chosen revenge instead of kindness, countless people would have lost hope, jobs, dreams, and opportunities. Gavin smiled back, knowing that was the greatest success of all. Years later, visitors entering Hawthorne Automotive headquarters noticed something unexpected displayed inside the main entrance. It was not a trophy, not an expensive supercar, not a framed business award. Instead, inside a simple glass case rested an old grease-stained pair of mechanic's gloves. Beneath them appeared a small plaque that every employee read on their first day. It reminded everyone that greatness is never measured by polished shoes, expensive offices, impressive titles, or spotless hands. True greatness is measured by character, humility, compassion, and the willingness to recognize brilliance wherever it may be found. Before we reach the end of this journey, leave a meaningful comment telling us about a moment when someone believed in you or when you chose kindness instead of revenge. Your story may encourage someone who needs hope today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. As the warm afternoon sun shined across the garage, Gavin closed the hood of one final customer's car, wiped his hands on the same old cloth he had used for years, and watched Elsie laugh as she chased butterflies outside the workshop. The luxury supercar that had changed so many lives sat parked nearby, admired by visitors from around the world, yet Gavin's happiest sight remained the smiling daughter waiting for him at the end of every workday. In saving an $80 million project, he had earned respect, recognition, and success, but by choosing forgiveness over revenge, he had gained something infinitely more valuable. He proved that the strongest engines are not always built from steel, but from hearts that refuse to stop believing in kindness, hope, and second chances.